Education meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Long Hill Township Board of Education was given as required by the Open Public Meeting Act as follows. Notice was sent to the Echo Sentinel and Daily Record on September 18th, 2023. Notices were posted on the bulletin board in the first floor entrance hall of the School District Administration Building, Gillette, New Jersey. Notices were filed with the Township Clerk, and notices were mailed to all persons who have requested individual notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. I had like one too many coffees today. Sorry. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler.
Here.
Mrs. Daly.
Here.
Mr. Foster.
Here.
Mr. Grosskopf.
Here.
Dr. Marr. Mrs. McLennan.
Here.
Mrs. Nyquist.
Here.
Ms. Ruvalo.
Here.
Mrs. Case.
Here. We are going to turn over to presentation. We have a sad moment where we have the final meeting of Melissa today, our board member who has been a transformative leader in policy, without a doubt, not just in Long Hill, but statewide. Very dedicated, I think, came to this board with such passion for her kids and wanting the district to do better. And I think she's done just that by being part of this group. And we appreciate everything that she's done. And we will miss her terribly. I think one of the things that makes a good board member is, really leveraging your expertise and strengths. And outside of being a lawyer, which is already pretty impressive, she also owns her own business. And I feel like she brought so much value to us when it came to finance as well in this district. So I'm going to miss her for sure. And she's definitely left the district better than it was when we started. And I just want to give people an opportunity if they have anything that they like to say.
I'm going to miss, besides your humor, which really lightens a lot of things, especially when we're on policy together. But I love your objectivity and your straightforwardness. It made me all of a sudden say, oh my gosh, yeah, that's it. And I appreciated that so much. I think it gave me a better or clearer insight into so many things. And it really was fun working with you. It really was.
Well, I'm definitely going to miss you. You were, when I got on this board, definitely one of my mentors that I looked up to. So definitely going to miss you. Your humor always, definitely brought us, lightened the air. But we'll still see you around, so.
I will miss you too. I'll follow up just for people who might be watching at home with what Kim said, which is that work you've done for us has been used as an example for other districts in the states by New Jersey school boards as a best practice for policy. And that's pretty impressive. And I bet they're going to be using it for years to come. You might, show up randomly at a meeting in 4 or 5 years and be like, wait a minute, that policy grid looks familiar. It's been wonderful getting to know you and work with you.
It's very exciting.
Anybody else?
I'd like to. Melissa, thank you for everything. You have a special way of making everybody feel like that you're a long-lost friend. And that smile alone and that laugh, you're going to miss it. And I want to offer you an all-expense-paid trip to this boardroom anytime you go.
I appreciate that. I probably wouldn't be on this board if it wasn't for you, just because I reached out and you were welcoming and you really just helped me understand what to do, how to get here, and I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying not to get emotional. She was my 2-time running mate. We met when we were very disappointed in an action by the board before we were on it. And we were, fighting for something we thought was unjust. And then when it didn't go our way, we had a lot of conversations and we're like, we're gonna do it. And the 2 moms that could. And then we came here and that was an adventure in and of itself. And I couldn't have asked to have a better partner in crime and, kept me sane in those early years when we thought we were up against a lot of things. And I'm just so grateful for your friendship and I think we're all gonna miss your ability to kind of cut through it all and just say it like it is when no one else is willing to say it. And I will always cherish the memory of you telling that bus company that their answer wasn't good enough. I think half the town, anyone who watched that was just like, yes. So I'm very grateful that our sons are such good friends, because that means I will still get to enjoy you coming and kidnapping my children, and that was always a great adventure. And I just wish you nothing but the best, and I think you earned a break from all the crazy meetings that you've attended and all the hours and hours of work, not only on policy, but you've been on finance committee through a lot of ups and downs. Especially when you first came in, there was a lot of surprising things. You got us through COVID. So your steady look at things really got us through a lot of tough things. And I'm just really grateful for everything you've done for us. And I'm going to miss you. So don't be shy.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't know this about me, but after I was practicing law for, God, it was just a few years, I was about to leave, and I went and got my alternate route teaching certificate.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized that teaching was much harder than practicing the law. So I decided to stick with the law, and that's when I ended up opening my own firm. But I always wanted something to do with children. So I'm a family law attorney. I figured that that would be something to do with children, but this is much more rewarding than that. And this I don't even get paid for. So, but a lot has changed since Katie and I are like, you know, a lot of people talk, but they don't actually do anything. So a lot has changed, and I don't think it's changed because of me. I don't think it's changed for one reason alone. I think it's changed because the board and the administration is truly phenomenal. And I don't think anyone in our district can truly appreciate that until you see it from more than one side. I realized it for the first time when Katie and I were going to we were at some type of school board summit, and it was about how to make your board more cohesive. And when we heard the stories, when we were watching other board members talking about their experiences, we were like, well, we don't have it bad, you know, because the way these people were treating one another and the way they were at odds with one another, it was just this failure to find common ground. And I think that COVID changed a lot of us. It changed us as parents, it changed administrators, it changed the board. Because something that we never thought we'd experience, we were somehow thrown in the midst of. And that was just so eye-opening, and that's when I really saw the board come together and just say, listen, we just need to support our teachers, we need to support our administration, and we also need to support the parents who are feeling hopeless right now and scared and absolutely overwhelmed. And the changes that I've seen over the past 6 years are not because of me, because I'm not the business administrator, I'm not the superintendent. We're just here to support you. And we're just here to make sure that we have the right people in place to make those decisions. So the one piece of advice I can give is that I think is what is very important in making a board and a school district very successful, is to just always keep the focus on the children. And politics, especially in the year that we just went through with elections, politics have no place whatsoever in a school district. And when you remember that and you focus on what is important to the children, what do these children need, which transpires into what do these teachers need, what do these administrators need, and what do these parents need. If you keep the focus on the children and you leave politics out of it and your personal beliefs, which is why it's so important to maintain that objectivity, then you're going to have a phenomenal school district that's not going to get caught up in the bickering, that's not going to get caught up in the small issues or the menial issues that sometimes don't impact every child. And that was the key to me being on the board. I initially came on because I was not happy with how, having an autistic son, I was not happy with how I saw services provided. And my God, what a change from 6 years ago until now. And that really is due to the support of the board, but more importantly, the people that are put in place to do that every day. George, Robin, the entire BA's office, the administration, and the teachers. So if I could have done this longer, I absolutely would have, because this is so phenomenally rewarding. But let's face it, it's a lot of work to be on this board. It's a lot of work, and I think people sometimes, when we first got on, it wasn't a lot of work. But now, rightfully so, it is a lot of work. And I think all that work that we put in through all those years and understanding that we need to put in more work is what has made such a difference. From the board and the school district I saw 6 years ago till now, it's just a wonderful, phenomenal change. But I would have done this longer if I could have. My personal commitments are what, there comes a time in life where you have to start looking at things to cut out. And if you have children and they tell you it's easier when you get older, that is such bull. Because as they get older, they get busier. And as they get busier, parents have more responsibilities. And you have more to worry about when that happens. So if you hadn't seen me at the last couple meetings, that was because I had no other choice not to come. I had a beautiful Elvis Vegas costume picked out for the October meeting. And I had the wig and the sideburns and even the chest hair to put on and everything. And unfortunately, my personal commitments really kept me away from wearing that Elvis costume, which I would have loved to. But so it's not. So when you're looking at things to cut out, it's like in life, one of the things you look at is it rewarding? That was not the reason I'm not doing this anymore. I didn't run because this is phenomenally rewarding. It is if you enjoy it. That is not the reason why I didn't run again, because I really, really enjoyed it. The third is if you're needed. And in the 6 years, I absolutely do not feel needed anymore. And that is because we have the best people in place. So thank you to all of you. I think everyone, when you want to understand, when you want to complain, when you want to pick out what's wrong, just there's a way to do it. And there's a way to convey your message bluntly but respectfully, and doing it with the right people, which is what I've tried to do on the board. So you're all so lucky to have this phenomenal board where every single person on this board dedicates everything they have without getting paid a dime other than the reward of wanting to do this and of wanting to help every single child in the district. And Robin and George, my God, when I look back 6 years ago, I wish we had you in place 6 years ago, because you're both phenomenal, and every single person on this board deserves the most phenomenal recognition, as well as our administrators and our teachers, because it's like I said, a harder job than what I do, and we all respect it. So thank you.
We have a little token. I don't know, I can just hand it over here. Hit, as I like to call it. So thank you very much. I'll read it because we're on camera. Long Hill Township Board of Education, presented to Melissa Ruvolo with grateful appreciation for your leadership, dedication, it's hard, huh? And tireless efforts on behalf of the Long Hill Township School District. Years of service, it says 2019-2024.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll hang it in my office.
You could add speech giver to her resume for sure. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Alexis.
Sure. Before I introduce Dr. Jones and Ms. Colon, I just want to add to the chorus and thank you, Melissa. Everything your colleagues mentioned, I saw firsthand throughout our 18 months together. Your legal and financial insight, your organizational skills, and your sense of humor are all first rate, but also your kindness and your ability to put others ahead of yourself, really what distinguishes you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have our presentation on the preschool, the current state of the preschool. I can't believe it's that time of year already where we are about to roll out registration in early January, and Dr. Jones and Ms. Colon are here to talk a little bit about anticipated enrollment and give you an overview of the entire program.
Thank you. Okay, we thought it was important to present this evening about some preschool information in our program. We are also having an information session for parents. That will be the fourth one of this year on January 8th at 7 o'clock to go more into details so they can ask a lot of questions that they may not see on our website and just from word of mouth. And up on a Gillette sign we posted this week, we are opening up the interest survey, which I will explain what that is in a moment, beginning January 8th. And we're going to keep that up on the sign until the day it closes, which will be the 16th at 3 p.m. And then we'll change the sign on the 17th for the month. And all the information we're going to share out. We're also going to put this into the paper at the end of this month, the beginning of January, just to really give that opportunity for parents. We've already been receiving a lot of phone calls asking when registration is. So who can register? This is just a lot of information for parents who may be watching now or watch the recording later on. Who can register? It's students who are 3 years old by October 1st and are Long Hill residents. Our tuition, it is a tuition-based program, and the monthly tuition fee is $950. It also does not include transportation for general education students. That's also questions that come up throughout the year. We do offer a full-day, 5-day-a-week program. Our doors open at 8:45 and close at 9 a.m., and we dismiss at 3:10. The makeup is a combination, just the last 2 years, it's a combination of 3 and 4-year-olds. Years ago, we used to have 3-year-olds in one section, 4-year-olds in another section. Now, after research, and Ms. Colon and I went to a lot of workshops, and we found out it was important for their growing opportunities, for their socialization, and to learn from one another, to combine the 3s and 4s. And we are going to loop with the teacher. So what that means is if you are a 3-year-old and you have one teacher for this year, you will have that same teacher for next year. Now, some students, depending on their birthday, they may be in preschool for 3 years. Then that's when individual conversations are had with myself, Ms. Colon, and the parents to see if the same teacher 3 years in a row is beneficial for their learning and development. But typically, it's a 2-year process. So this year, instead of just posting it and putting out an e-blast, based on some feedback from the last 2 years, we decided to create an interest form. I'm actually going to click on it here. It is not open yet. It will be open on January 8th. And it gives a little bit of a description of what I just said and what our program focuses on. Students have to be 3 years old. So this interest form, and I'll scroll up and down, it just collects some information on the date that the parent fills it out, student's name and birthday, address, information for the parent. And what we'll do based on this, we'll close it on the 16th at 3 o'clock, and then Miss Ritchie and we will have a witness, probably Mrs. Colon, watch us do the lottery. So that if there's any, and we'll record it again like we have the last 2 years on my phone. So we'll do the lottery, we'll have the makeup of the classes, and we will make all of the phone calls to the parents the very next morning, because we know a lot of preschools, you have to put your deposits down in January in order for other preschools in the area. And then we're going to open up Genesis for 1 week for you to fill out all that paperwork. So that was based on a recommendation that we received last year, that we opened it up for everybody. You fill out probably an hour worth of paperwork, and then we call or send an email saying, well, you didn't make it, but thank you for the information. So now you only have to fill out this form. Then if you get accepted into the program, then you continue on with the paperwork. So that's what this interest form is, and this is on the school sign outside. I just talked about the dates. Our current preschool students, we do get questions about this. You do not have to do anything. We automatically enroll you into the following year, so you'll automatically have a spot unless you tell us otherwise. This came up last year also, a question if we give preferential spots to current and former students. We do not. While it may make sense to some people, we just don't feel that we're giving everybody an opportunity to come to our program, and because you could have a lot of relatives that have been in the program. So we do not. It may sound harsh, but we don't mean it that way. We don't give preferential spots to any current or former students. And a wait list. We want to be more clear this year on a wait list. So if your child is not accepted into the program based on the lottery, you can email myself or Miss Ritchie or both of us and let us know that you would like your child to be on the wait list, and we will add you to the wait list. Last year, we had a wait list of about 11, and we were able to bring in 3 students based on students who have moved or had turned down the offer. So it is possible, but the parental side comes out of me, and I do say to the parents, don't wait too long. I don't want you not to have a spot. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Ms. Colon for an overview of the creative curriculum that we use.
Hi. So the state of New Jersey requires us to pick from one of, I believe, 5 curriculums. The district had adopted the creative curriculum a number of years ago. Over the past 2 years, we've done a lot of work to bring it up to the modern version of it, and to begin teaching it with fidelity. The creative curriculum is a play-based curriculum. It's research-based, and it looks at the development of the whole child, not only their early academic skills, but their play skills, their social skills. It's very project-based and very theme-based. The themes are not what you would expect from many years ago in preschool. They are really broad topics, such as like balls, boxes, and trees. It's amazing how far you can take a tree and what you can do with it over a period of a month. So they're pretty broad themes, and the entire day is arranged around that theme. All the small group activities, large group activities, and play centers all have something associated with the theme. The goals of the curriculum is really to get the students to become independent, confident, and motivated learners, to have them really kind of be inquisitive about their environment, to really engage them in meaningful learning that connects to everyday experiences, and to build on a strong foundation of academic success and social and emotional well-being. A lot of the early academic skills are not directly taught. They are taught through more experiential learning within the centers and within the small group activities. Whoops, what did I just do? Help. Each classroom is divided into a variety of different interest centers. The students spend about an hour every day in these interest centers. They choose which center to start in, and I did not touch that computer. They choose what center to start in, and they can move centers as long as the center is not full. Each center has about 4 students at a time in it. There's dramatic play, block and construction, an art center, a math and movement center, literacy, toys and games, discovery, and sand and water. Each center has a different purpose. But it really, the bottom line is really to get them to play, to work together, to kind of build those creativity skills and inquisition skills. There's project-based learning that happens throughout the day. One of the units is animals, so they'll learn about a habitat. They'll role play what animals do. But there's a lot of learning that happens within these different themes and these different centers throughout the day. I'm not touching this computer. The daily schedule, the students, it's a mix of structured activities and free choice activities. So we do have things such as morning meeting, circle time, things like that. There are small group activities. There are obviously a lot of time in the play centers. There is an outdoor play period every morning and an outdoor play period every afternoon, as well as playtime within the classroom setting. Outdoor play is a really big component of the creative curriculum. They really feel that children should be outside exploring their environment. There's snack, there's lunch, there's rest period. It really kind of, the day changes pretty rapidly as you move along because we really do want to keep them attending. Little people have short attention spans, so we really do want to keep them moving and kind of keep them going, and also but giving them at the same time the freedom to explore their environment and explore the different play areas. One of the things that we were introduced to this year, actually from a neighboring district, is something called Marco Polo Learning. It is a new, innovative online platform that supports the creative curriculum. There's an actual connection. It's aligned to the creative curriculum themes, and there's videos that are available in English, Spanish, and Chinese that we can actually send home to supplement the learning that's happening in the classroom. We are using Marco Polo Learning not only in our preschool classes, and you'll see it, if you walk into one of our classrooms, you'll see it often throughout the day being used, and we are also using it in our multilingual learner classrooms at this point. But we were really excited. They gave us a free trial from now until January, and then we'll be purchasing it for each of the preschool classes come January. I'm going to hand this back to Dr. Jones.
Thank you. Okay, so our registration dates, as I said, are January 9 through the 16th at 3 o'clock. At that time, so the next morning on the 17th, after Miss Ritchie and I make all of the phone calls, we're opening up Genesis, and that's when you can fill out all of the paperwork. We do have 21 spots open this year. So we've been asked in the past, why don't you share how many spots? We don't really have an answer. So we have 21 spots for this year, or for next year. We also, based on the need of the early intervention students that have come forward this year, we are opening up a third section, which we have talked about in the past, but the need for opening up an additional section has come this year. So that's why we have 21 spots. Otherwise, we would only have 5 in order to take new tuition students. So the children are chosen by a lottery, and we will call you when you're accepted into the program. I will also, instead of sending out an email this year saying thank you for your interest, I will be calling to tell you you were not accepted into the program as well. And again, you can add your name to a wait list. We are having the parent information session January 8th. That's why we're opening up registration on the 9th in case there are any last minute questions where parents want to know more information about our program. We will cover all of that on the 8th. And we will have a new student orientation session either in the spring or in the summer. So we'll have our open house for all of the students at Gillette anyway, the day before the first day of school. I had a kindergarten orientation last year, 2 of them, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, because I decided to do it on the same day as the open house at Millington. So this year, the date will be different. I'll also have a kindergarten orientation date, and then Ms. Colonna and I will have a preschool orientation date as well. Okay, that's everything. Are there any questions? Yes.
For the preschool children admitted into, like, that get a spot, if they live outside of the 2-mile radius, do they also get busing?
No, they do not.
Okay. So as far as early intervention is concerned, are those students who will require an IEP or have early intervention, are they also subject to that lottery? No.
No.
Okay.
This is only for general education students.
Got it. So there's three sections, 3 different classrooms altogether?
Yes.
So what is the average size of each of the sections?
We will be starting each section in September with 13 students.
Okay. Good.
And doesn't Danielle, you have a question?
Yeah, I did actually. I now have 2 questions.
Okay.
To go off of that. When you say roughly 13 per class, So is it when you go ahead and divvy up the gen ed kids with the kids that are IEP, you're going to try and do equal, right, for each class, I assume?
Right.
Right. And then, and then my other question was actually about Marco Poloing, the Marco Polo. So since you're going to go ahead and purchase that, did that come, I guess, were parents actually using that? Is it an app?
Yes, so the multi-language learners, the parents have been using it. The preschool teachers were hesitant to share it with the parents prior to knowing if we were definitely going to be purchasing it. But we have identified funding through our preschool IDEA funds. It's a pretty inexpensive program. So we are going to be moving forward and purchasing it, and the parents it will be being shared with them. But the parents that have, for the kindergarten and first grade parents that have been using it with Miss Anderson have really been, it's amazing how many, we actually can see exactly how many times it's been accessed at home, and it's amazing how much they are accessing it.
Okay,
So-
it's for all the all the gen ed kids and IEP kids, or
Yes,
both?
it'll be for each classroom. Each classroom will have a subscription, and any of the families will each have their own kind of like
Oh, right.
account, and then the teacher can share specific videos with them, or they can go into the library to see what's available. But the teachers can actually assign videos to the families to share
Nice.
and watch at home
Okay.
that are connected to the themes.
Jerry, can you talk a little bit more about, that you're the closest to the data and the projected enrollment?
Yes.
And the importance of having a healthy balance in an inclusion class between gen ed and special ed
Yes.
students?
So when we first looked at the numbers with 2 classes for next year, we only had enough spots to have 7 general education students in a classroom, which would have left 11 spots for students with IEPs, which in my opinion is not a balanced classroom. It really is a special education classroom with a few general ed students kind of sprinkled in. We really did not feel that was really the right balance and really what we were aiming for. So by opening the 3rd class, we're actually able to start each of the classes with 10 general ed students. And then we would have up to 8 spots in each class for students with IEPs. We do not project that we would have 24 students with IEPs in preschool, though our numbers have increased. Every other district in the area, every meeting I've gone to in the past 3 years, all they talk about is the increasing preschool enrollment of students with IEPs. We were not experiencing that. We kept saying, well, where are our preschoolers? Because our numbers were extremely low. We found them this year. Our referrals in the preschool level have been pretty high this year, and right now we're projecting that each class will start with 3 or 4 students with IEPs. Obviously, that can change as the year goes on. Right now, we know of all birthdays through the middle of April of students that are in the early intervention system, but we still have a lot of months to go in the school year. But right now, we do have referrals up through April. So right now, each class is looking at starting at about with 10 general ed students and either 3 or 4 students with IEPs.
Early intervention means they automatically go into the preschool?
No.
Oh,
If they receive early intervention, they're automatically, not even automatically, if the parents opt to refer them, we would almost automatically test them for preschool services. 80% of the students that receive early intervention that come to us as preschoolers, are about 80% are eligible. There are some that early intervention is exactly what they needed and they no longer qualify. But a large number of the students that come out of early intervention do qualify.
okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So for the Google form, is it in our interest for the district to have a hard copy available in case people are not Google form savvy? And or have we in the past always done everything? Well, it can't be too long, but do we keep things digital? I guess I'm just trying to see if people would like something hard copy that could be an option.
Over the past couple of years, registration has been digital. You have to
Okay.
be able to access the system. We have had situations where parents are not able to access the system for whatever reason, and they have come into the schools, and we have, assigned somebody to help them fill it out. So certainly, if somebody needs assistance, they're more than welcome to contact us, and we can have one of us sit with them. We do have some families that either don't have internet access or don't read in their own language or as well as English, and they do require a little bit more assistance, and we've been able to support that through staffing and through them coming in and meeting with staff to fill out the forms.
That's good. That's great. My other question is, I think you answered that one. Are there any times in the past couple of years that you can recall, Dr. Jones, where people like accepted and then they said no?
Sometimes.
But not like, is there a high amount or that's
Very low amount.
Yeah.
And it's either they moved or they decided to stay in their current preschool for one more year. That's it.
Okay.
I would say maybe one a year.
Okay. And then my other question, and maybe this could be to for BA Super or you, Dr. Jones, the $950. I mean, how do we feel like that monthly fee compares to surrounding districts? And I also feel like that hasn't gone up at all. I mean, can anyone speak to that?
Jerry, you know the history of the.
Yeah.
So $950 is on there's a few districts that are that high. There's some that are lower. I think that I don't know that anybody's over that at this point. So I don't know that it would really be worth looking into raising it at this point. But it's in line with many of the local districts. There are some that are lower, but there's also a lot of the preschool programs are less hours than ours is. So there's a lot of different factors that play into it. Some are 4 days a week, some are 9 to 2. So all of that has to be taken into account. But I don't know at this point, looking at the tuitions of some of the other surrounding districts, I don't think it's at this point in anybody's best interest to look at raising it.
Okay. Thank you.
I remember from just more of a comment from it was probably 6, 7 years ago when my kids were in preschool and we had to pay for a private preschool because we weren't offering full-time yet here. I was paying more than that, and that was years ago. Bear in mind, you get longer hours in a daycare setting, but that student-to-teacher ratio is phenomenal.
Yes.
You're not going to, in any daycare setting, it's twice that. You know, my kids were 20-some kids in their preschool class.
Right.
So, and I love how, you have the ability to mix the gen ed and the special ed because that's good for all students. It's even the gen ed population, it's good for them to be surrounded by kids who are different. So, but I'm just blown away by the student-teacher ratio because to be one kid in a class of 13, the individualized attention that these kids are going to get is just phenomenal. How did we find the room for this? Wasn't this an issue last year where we're like, where are we going to put them closets?
Yeah.
Like
Art room.
where are they?
It's always an issue, but we're working out the logistics.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we're working on that. Also, the preschool students at Gillette are really part of the school community. So they
Yeah.
participate in our field day, modified field day, all of our assemblies, all of our initiatives. So
Lunch.
I think that adds to it.
Yeah,
Yes,
the lunch.
lunch. Yes, Mrs. Bomer.
I think, Justin, you have a...
Does Alpha Best offer before and after care coverage for this age student?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
And also our morning drop off, our courtesy morning drop off that starts at 8:30. There's quite a few 3 and 4-year-olds that are in there as well who have students at Gillette and at Millington. Oh, and the forced classes include preschool too.
Only 4-year-olds.
4-year-olds.
Only a handful of them because it is based on what the teachers who offer it because we do not do 3-year-olds because sometimes we have kids that aren't trained and et cetera. And then you have a 3-year-old with a 6-year-old in the same class. That's just
So 4-year-olds, just for the audience, yes.
For the just a follow-up question, are they in the same Alpha Best class as the kind of the 4 or 5-year-olds, or are they in the same room, or is it?
They're all in the same room in the gymnasium.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
the lottery, is it only for 3-year-olds or is it also for 4-year-olds? For both.
Yeah, it's for both.
Okay, and then the next question I had was, that was the main one, so we'll just leave it at that. But I will say, having more gen ed kids in the class is such a home run, because I had my oldest, Marcus,
Yeah.
barely spoke when he came to Gillette, and by the time he was 1 year in, can't shut him up, and he talks more than me. So it was an incredible program to see what the gen ed being. I mean, it's one thing to go to get your early intervention, but when you actually go with your peers, the growth is phenomenal. So it's great that you were able to make the numbers much more of the gen ed kids.
Is, the numbers that you have, I mean, they just the numbers, or do you look for, we want so many 3-year-olds, we want so many 4-year-olds, or that doesn't enter into it, or does it?
No, when we balance the classes, we look at the ages and the birth dates, but as far as just coming into the program, no, we don't have a set number we're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Jones, with the general ed students who are admitted to the program at 3 years old, do they then progress as 4-year-olds, or do they enter the lottery again? They're
Progress.
Yes, they don't have to do
But if
anything
you
there.
didn't get a lottery when you were 3 years old and you reapply again at 4 years old, you may get a spot that year as well.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And when they go from 3-year-old to the 4-year-old, they're going to be with the same exact teacher.
Yes,
And also, there's paras in the class. There's A's in the class, right?
yes, we have adults, other adults in the classroom.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's very good.
That's great. Any other? All right, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you both.
coming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ruvalo,
Thank you.
for your years.
Okay, I'm going to move to communications. I do not have any. Mr. Alexis, do you have any communications?
Nothing to report. This
Okay. Board committee and liaison reports. Karen?
Okay, on November 13th, Ed Services we had a virtual meeting, and, excuse me, they're handle cooperative bidding for many districts. Well, this year, they added, and I guess recently, they added extra districts, but this year they got a whole new 45 new districts, so they're now handling 495 of all of the districts out of New Jersey. Most of the increase is a result because they are the sole provider for Apple, so that was a big thing. They finished their work associated with distributing the ESSER money to the non-public schools. So there's a number of, I guess, leave resignations that are put through for the employees that were hired specifically to deal with the ESSER funds. And as a result of the election, we didn't lose any members, but that doesn't mean that come January, boards may choose to assign a different person. So basically that's it. There's another meeting. Our next meeting is this Wednesday. And as I said, they're virtual, so. That's it. Okay, with respect to governance, we spoke about strategic planning again. Did a little more discussion about identifying those groups or individuals that are going to get targeted invitations. And we did a mock-up of the RSVP. We said we're going to have an RSVP. We'll finalize that at the next meeting, which is on the 17th. The committee reviewed its listing of responsibilities that's listed on the website, and there were things that we were identified with, which really should have just been policy. And then there's one or two items, one passed to personnel. And you'll see it's on the agenda for a first reading, committee chair responsibilities. And I have comments from Tom, which were incorporated into something that the governance committee is looking at. But if there are any other comments, if you could get it to me, because we'll be discussing it at the next governance meeting. And with respect to the goal review, I guess Charlene was very impressed with it. She thought it was very pointed. Everybody was prepared. I don't know, my take on it, I mean, I felt like it was worthwhile. How did everybody feel about it? Yes. So, we're gonna have another one coming up, in April, so that'll be good. I mean, that we handle it the same way. With respect to finance, we met this past Wednesday. Okay, as it is now, CUSAC is on schedule. The next meeting for the committee is on the 11th. With respect to the lunch program, as they jokingly do, Robin is still tasting and testing. And there's a few blips in the ordering of and handling of the free and reduced lunches, but it's being worked on, and by the end of the year, it should be taken care of. Everybody should have gotten via email their audit information, okay? Anything associated with B&G work, Katie will handle. With respect to the budget process, it's on schedule, following the schedule that was previously provided. Input is coming from the principals who got it from the teachers to be submitted by December 20th. It'll be reviewed then with Mr. Alexis. All the salaries have been updated, revenues estimated accordingly. There is an increase January 1 in the state of New Jersey about minimum wage, so it should be on the agenda that you'll see the minimum wage for the lunch aides, and who is it? Oh, substitute secretaries. Now, the question came up about substitute teacher shortage. So Robin provided us to review a listing of the payments in other districts for the substitute teacher salaries. And we were not the highest, but we were also by no means the lowest. And it's viewed that, based on experience, just increasing the dollar amount does not guarantee that you're going to get substitutes to come. Because it's not a question of them coming, it's a question of them being available. So right now, we're not going to be changing the substitute pay. And bills were reviewed and everything is hunky-dory. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? No? Okay, Danielle?
As for the Community Relations Committee, we last met November 1st, and we're supposed to be having one later on this week, and I'll be sending out an email with an agenda and sharing up the date and the time. So I have nothing to report there. And then as far as the PTO, the annual PTO coat drive is taking place now through December 13th. It's located at every entry of each school. You gently used new coats. They're also doing the Spirit Blanket fundraiser that you can go online and go to longhillpto.membershiptoolkit.com and purchase there.
Is it inside or outside the school?
Inside.
Okay.
And if you haven't gone to that website, it's really nice.
Yeah.
So I encourage,
There's
you go.
so much stuff on there.
Yeah.
So much, all the time, fundraisers and, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Danielle? No? Okay, thank you. Anne?
The Student Achievement and Curriculum Committee met twice since our last board meeting, on November 13th, and then we had our December meeting on December 3rd. In our updates regarding the school academic programs, which also involved consideration for budget needs for next year, we had an update that Magnolia Consulting had visited the district in mid-November and met with our administrative team, our basic skills instructional team, and the child study team to discuss the implementation of the multi-tiered systems of supports. The consultant was highly effective and emphasized the importance of strategic research-based strategies for a targeted intervention model, and the consultant will be returning for a follow-up workshop in December. This is a planned, the district plans on using this consultant and budgeting for this follow-up for next year. Part of the discussion that they had were on fine-tuning the strategy-based action plans for intervention at struggling students and utilizing the skills interventionists within the classroom to support instruction, in addition to pull-out support classes for basic skills instruction. We also, there's a plan for professional development with this ongoing initiative for February 15th, and like I said, for next school year as well. And I'm sure for the rest of this school year. We just didn't discuss beyond February 15th at this meeting. For Math, ELA, and the Social Studies program, the ELA curriculum, the district feels confident with the programs that they're using in place. We did review that there are multiple programs the district uses to target the multiple skills. It's not just like a one textbook situation, but there's the phonics instruction and the, reading and comprehension instruction, grammar and writing, etc. But they felt that they had the tools in place, although they are working in their meetings in fine-tuning instructional strategies using those materials. For the K-8 math, the district is planning to implement a new program and is looking at a new program for the math. This is a strategic move. They've looked at the program we have in place right now, which is the Big Ideas Math program, and they feel that some of the gaps we're seeing in our performance data would be better addressed through a new program. So that will be something that will be updated as their search for the best curriculum to replace it with evolves. They are looking at certain programs, and they do not anticipate a large difference between the cost of a new program and the current program in place. Okay. The social studies program, they have been working on further integrating what they call DBQs, which are document-based questions, into their current classroom work. So this aligns with best practices for the subject matter with the high school approach, and it also targets students on reading and writing goals for informational text. And there will be some anticipated, again, not major cost, but cost with providing those materials to the teachers and working that into next year's budget. Okay. We talked about the preschool education. I think Dr. Jones and Ms. Colon did a great job updating us there. They're beginning after-school math tutoring in grades 3 through 7. And the invitations went out this week, I believe. So the students were invited based on a close look at the state data, the benchmark data from our own in-house testing, and teacher feedback. The classes will begin at the end of January and will meet weekly for approximately 8 to 10 weeks. And these classes are designed to address targeted needs of the students based on the assessment data that we have. We had a student attendance update. November is a difficult month for student attendance. I'm not an expert, but we have 2 long weekends, right? We have 2 weeks that are 3-day weeks, and we do happen to see people taking a Wednesday or a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So November's attendance data was 92.5% attendance. But our 3 months of school so far, we're at 96%. We're hoping to end at 97% for the year. So there's some work to be done, but not far off. We reviewed the district calendar. They're beginning to look at that for 25-26, and I believe that will be on the next board agenda in January. And then we talked about chronic absentee corrective action plan for Central. As part of the plan, a survey was sent to families of students who had exceeded 18 absences in the last 2 years to gain feedback from those parents. I believe it was an anonymous survey, but targeted to those particular families to help the school district look at that information. And that was the update.
They went back 2 years, not just the one. Not
This
1
year and last year, they sent to the
And
families.
It was only Central that had a.
It was only
Yeah.
Central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Ann? Tom?
And how do you get to the 97% as your target?
It's a goal.
That was
I
the
defer to George.
that was the district goal.
That's a district goal.
We set it because we looked at the pre-pandemic levels, and so we picked a number that we thought was realistic. We started off very well in September. We were above the 97%. October, a little bit below, but overall, district-wide, we were still at the 97%, and then November kind of took us down a little bit. So we got to come up with some better ideas for attracting our kids to come to school every day.
But that was great, man, and very useful. Thank you very much for that.
Actually,
Go ahead, Katie.
this just occurred to me. Does one school have a higher percentage of absences than the other? Would that dip?
Central always has, we see more absences at Central than we do at the elementary schools. But we have that on the website too. We have the data, on our Attendance Matters webpage, and we have it by month. So you can see September, October, and November all listed.
We'll just leave it as attendance matters.
Attendance does matter.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Tom, do you have a report?
I do indeed. On Thursday, the tech committee met, and in attendance was Mr. Alexis and Mr. Hartnett, Jack, myself, Justin Foster, and Katie McLennan. And here's a quick follow-up courtesy, and I will expose myself here, but I mean about this. This does come from Jack mostly, and I want to thank him because you should have seen my notes. There was so much going on. I wasn't sure where one thing led to another. So please be kind to me as I read this along with this. First thing we talked about was the website follow-up. Our new website is running smoothly with minimum to no reported issues. It's working really well, and I look at it myself, hope others have, and you'll see that it's very usable. Final Site, a vendor, has already provided training to our office staff, Jack and Andrew, and we'll be conducting follow-up sessions for additional training to ensure everyone is fully equipped to use the new system. Instagram. All 4 Instagram accounts have been created and are now active. Basically, it's LH_district _Gillette _Millington or _Central. Those are the 4 sites. All start with LH. Content from these accounts will flow directly to the district website and each respective school website, ensuring that all updates and information are always current and easily accessible. District branding. You've seen it. You saw it in tonight's report. The beautiful blue and the yellow and the sharp lines. Oh, I like it very much. George and Jack have made significant progress on unifying the branding for our district. Nearly all district communications and media are now being distributed on standardized templates. Emails from administration, weekly bulletins, Friday flyer, presentations, printed communication. So we have one look, and it's across all of our ways of communicating. Color printing changes. I like this. They've recently made an update to the printing process in the district to encourage more efficient use of color printing. When color copiers were first introduced in 2021, color printing became the default on computers and copiers. However, as of October 24, they've switched to grayscale as the default for all print shops and to our copiers. So, this change allows us to reduce unnecessary color printing while still giving the staff the flexibility to print in color whenever needed. To print in color, staff can select the color option before releasing their print shop. We're already seeing significant savings as a result of this change. Now, mind you, he says it started in October of 24, but I think Jack was a little ahead of the curve because we have savings even in September, $245. October, the month it started officially, $1,300 and change. November, $1,500 and change. So over the last 3 months, you're looking at $3,100, $3,200 in savings just on changing from color to print scale, to grayscale. Migration to HIPAA-compliant eFax solution. Now, people will say fax machines have gone the way of the dodo bird. Unfortunately, HIPAA requires that certain documents be faxed because it's very hard to break the encryption on faxing. So, we are currently in the process of transitioning all fax lines to an eFax solution, offering a simple way to use easy to use online platform for sending and receiving faxes. The new system meets all of the data privacy requirements as it expected to save a minimum of $3,800 annually by reducing service costs. Quick look, that's almost $7 grand. One's over a year, one's worth 10. Jack's saving his money. Every time I feel really happy because every time I report about Jack's work, we're saving money and we're getting better things for it. So, kudos. Cybersecurity planning, endpoint protection solution planning. The technology department is working on enhancing the security of district workstations, servers, and networks. One of the key steps we're exploring is the implementation of an advanced security solution that will provide real-time threat detection, automated response, and proactive monitoring across all of our devices and systems. The solution will integrate data from various sources such as endpoints, servers, firewalls, to quickly identify vulnerabilities and respond to potential risks. By adopting this technology will significantly strengthen our district's cybersecurity posture. Cybersecurity training and anti-phishing solution currently being tested internally. This school year, all staff will participate in cybersecurity training to strengthen our district's overall security awareness. In addition, the technology department has acquired KnowBe4's Fisher tool, which enhances our team's ability to detect, analyze, and respond to those lousy phishing threats. And our next meeting is to be determined, and that's all I have to say. Any questions?
Who's gonna do the training for the staff?
The information.
Jack
Yes.
and Andrew?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that right?
No, the training, cybersecurity training, it's an online platform, very similar to the trainings that staff take, beginning of the year, very similar to Safe Schools.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Justin?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Katie?
Hi, I want to thank Robin for giving me an overview. I was unable to attend the November 26th Buildings and Ground Committee meeting. In attendance was George Alexis, Kim Case, Karen Nyquist, Tom Groskopf, Robin Bomer. Is Adele there?
No.
No.
No, and then Mark Vandersky. I'll give a quick overview. They discussed the budget planning for the next year, which I believe you'll be talking a little bit more about. There were updates on the plumbing and sewer. Basically at Millington and Central Middle School, the repairs and the adjustments we made to the toilets are all working except for, I love this, user error, which unfortunately when you have young children, sometimes they do silly things, and I'll leave it at that. In terms of our capital improvement projects, the stage lighting at Central is scheduled and should be done in about a month. There is a structural investigation going on at Central because there is potentially some water damage that they're looking into. And they're doing that because they want to install the new ventilators and they want to make sure that the flooring is okay. There's some abatement that needs to be done. So they're kind of doing a little research, and then once they know what's going on, they can make more informed decisions on what's going on forward. In terms of Millington, unfortunately, on November 9th, there was some tree damage due to a tree falling on the roof, which damaged part of the roof, the air conditioning unit, and also the unit ventilator, which were on the roof. We've already repaired the roof. The claim has gone to our insurance, and based on what the insurance does, we'll handle what the ventilator installation and the AC replacement, how that goes forward. But currently, that's not a dire need, so they're managing that process. As for Gillette, the Gaga pit, there is a plan in action. This were donated items from the Long Hill Ed Foundation. The Gaga pit was donated last year, and then the Ed Foundation donated kind of matting to go underneath it because it wasn't being used not properly, but enough as a gym class tool. So they are moving it outside, and that will be installed in the spring when the weather is more appropriate for the installation process. So that is very exciting. So there'll be another piece of playground equipment at Gillette. And the next Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting will be scheduled after the January reorganization meeting. As for the Long Hill Ed Foundation, there are items on the agenda, things that we have donated to the district. And while it's not on the agenda for this month, it will be in the future. One of our first sponsored donations has been approved, and the district has been notified that the
Family Focused Legal Solutions.
Family Focused Legal Solutions is providing as one of our gold sponsors, is providing a scholarship for musical instruments for children who are on our free and reduced lunch program or any other children that qualify. So this will allow, starting in this year, students to rent the instruments who otherwise wouldn't have that available to them. So it's a very exciting program. I wanted to mention it while Melissa was here. We really are appreciative, and it's kind of a nice parting thing that they are part of. So I want to thank you publicly, and also your team. And it's exciting, something that really, I think someone said, who knows that someone who is given this opportunity could turn out to be a musician, or a lifelong passion is realized. So it's very exciting. And then we're finishing up our fall force classes, and we will be starting our next session. We are currently in signups for that, and our next session will start January 7th. And then also, we had our fall fundraisers. We had our pie sale, which was very successful, and we had another family movie night at Central, which was really fun, and the kids had a great time. And we are planning to have another one, I believe, in February, if all the logistics work out with the availability of the gym and the permits for the films. So it's exciting, and we look forward to sending more information out about our color run in the late spring, which is a huge hit. And so that's all. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Any questions? Well, I have to say, though, I want to add to what you said. So I think the donation, Melissa, is so important. And I'll tell you, because I was a third grader who really wanted to play the flute. And I just thought everyone got to pick an instrument. But then I didn't realize you had to pay for it. So I definitely was the free and reduced kid who didn't get to play the flute, but they had a cello in the back room. And I was like, that's fine. I'm going to play this cello. And I ended up sitting second chair in the Montclair Youth Symphony.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's definitely, I think we're going to see something from that. So thank you. That's exciting.
Thanks.
Okie dokie. So to Melissa.
Policy committee met on November 12th. You see a lot of policies. That is my fault, because I had to cancel the meeting the month before, and I think maybe before that, but the committee was fantastic. We got everything done in under an hour at the last policy committee meeting. We have our next policy committee meeting tomorrow night, which I want to talk to the members about, because the purpose of that, we're not reviewing any policies. We are reviewing the policy committee meeting, the policy committee manual that I've drafted, so that all future policy committees have a manual in order that explains to them what their responsibilities are, how to review the policies, what to look for, and, so they're not going into it blind. So with that said, in 2024, we reviewed 113 policies. Most at the last meeting. So a large amount. So we are now on track. It took a little while to get there, but we are now on track to review in policy order 93 policies a year. So with that said, the 2025 schedule is already out for the next policy committee. But that's why, and I want to talk to the policy committee afterwards, because I have already started the review of all the January policies, because you'll have a new policy committee in place. So no one's going to be able to review the policies by the January meeting. So Liz Mickles gave me the policies ahead, and I already have the agenda and the minutes partially drafted for the January meeting. But that took me away from the manual, so I may want to change tomorrow night's meeting to push it out a week at least, so I could just finish the manual. And then I hand this over to you.
We're going to have 2 people do this job.
I handed, but it's not, thanks to the hard work of the policy committee over the last few years, it is going to be very easy and manageable going forward. It's not going to be hard.
Is Jack aware of things, so if they break your
Break
spreadsheet?
it.
Liz Mickles and George are going to be the holder of the spreadsheet. But the great part about it is because of the way the policy committee's worked in the last few years, going forward, what you're going to see on the agenda is just really readopting or approving the policies, because all the major changes that would have had to be made have been made over the last few years. So down to everything, down to the cross references, the citations. So it's going to be you're not going to see nearly as many red lines as you've seen in the last 3 years because of the policy committee.
Thank you. Okay, Karen?
This manual is going to include detailed instructions on how to work.
Detailed instructions with screenshots.
Oh, good. Oh, that's
Yes.
good. I was like, should we record this meeting?
No, it's going to be with screenshots, what to click on the NJSBA website to review everything. Let's hope they don't ever update their website. But it's going to be very straightforward, which I think is what I know when Katie and I got on, like, we didn't know what we were doing. We're like, oh, we're just writing policies. So, hey, I have an idea. Like, we had no
I
idea.
remember having to bring my baby into a Duncan into a policy meeting, and we were in there, and he's running around the office. It was horrible. It was, yeah.
But yeah,
Those
it's
are the
gonna be very simple and straightforward.
So this manual, is it marketable?
You do whatever you want with it. I don't even need any royalties. So no,
That's what I thought we could do. We could copyright it, and then we
this will be the Long Hill Prize, okay? And you guys can do whatever you want with it. You're gonna have it on USB form too. That's how fantastic it's all gonna be.
Get you in your Elvis costume and put you on the back cover.
All right, yeah.
Melissa, I'd like to thank you for making the policy committee one that's easy to work with. The red line that you've added, great, easy for anybody to take a look and say, what happened? Oh, just these two things and they're simple? Great.
Yeah.
You've done a great job. And for you to leave behind instructions, I was on policy committee my first year, went, huh?
Yeah.
We're doing what, when?
Yeah.
And that was with COVID, so there was no time for doing anything. And I don't know that we did enough, but you've caught us all up. So.
Well, I think this is something that's transformed over the last 6 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
being on the policy committee through all the committees. We were like, every single committee every single person who was on the committee in the last 6 years, I mean, Karen took on a tremendous amount in the first few years I was on the policy committee, and hopefully it's done now in a way that's shared across all policy committee members and allows for input. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, superintendent's
Hey,
report.
that's a good segue, because Karen and I had the honor of presenting at NJSBA's Morris County meeting last Wednesday, and the topic was Journey to Good Governance. So exactly what you're talking about, Melissa, over the last 6 years and all the good work that everyone's done. We were celebrating that and sharing it with our Morris County board colleagues. The next morning, Central Middle School hosted the regional learning walk, so all the sending districts sent a team. The high school sent their team, and we opened up our math classes for observation. So these teams were taking a look at a lesson being taught, and then we had a roundtable discussion afterwards. It was very productive, and we're hosting the ELA sessions this Thursday. We mentioned the chronic absenteeism corrective action plan for Central Middle School. I just want to mention that this is required by New Jersey statute when the percentage of students with 18 or more absences in a school year reaches 10% for that school. Our district goal is well aligned with this requirement, so we were ahead of the game since this summer. But, for parents, we understand. It's easy to lose track sometimes of your child's attendance, especially if it's just a couple days a month, but they all add up. And so we're just trying to make this a point of emphasis because, as we've said before, students learn best when they're in school and engaged. There's also the resolution on the agenda approving the use of the climate survey. That's NJSCI. We've discussed this previously, and we look forward to using it in conjunction with strategic planning. It's great to have our winter athletics season back in action. And I want to wish everyone a joyous holiday season and a relaxing, rejuvenating winter break.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, BA's report.
I just want to update you on the sub portion of what Karen spoke about. So in finance, we did look at substitutes and neighboring districts and what they are paying, and because there is a shortage of subs. If you have your thing, you can actually sub for us.
It's too hard. So I'm gonna pass, but okay, thank you.
That during the meeting, though, Kim and Ann had a great idea, saying some of the college students around town, right, might be willing to sub for us. And so we did take that idea. Elizabeth Mickles kindly went out and spoke with County College of Morris, Raritan Valley, College of St. Elizabeth, Union County Community College, Rutgers, FDU, Seton Hall, Montclair, Drew, William Patterson, Keene, Ramapo, and TCNJ.
Come
And
far,
they-
come wide. What is the?
So they all now have postings that we are looking for subs. So with any luck, maybe we'll get a sub or two out of a college student who wants to be a teacher and has 60 credits.
That would be
It'd
great.
be great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the idea. Let's hope it pays off.
Thank you, Liz.
Yes.
Yep.
That was a really good idea.
Yeah. And that's my report. I have nothing else.
Oh, okay. Something that came to mind. So this falls to you, Robin, and also to you, George, for the busing. Are we, so I noticed that there's a substitute bus, either substitute or new bus driver for at least one of the routes, and there's been some chatter about it. Are we seeing that for any other routes, or is it just?
No, I haven't heard about any. I haven't gotten any calls other than the one driver was left and we got a brand new driver on that route. I haven't been called about subs at all. That I will call them tomorrow. Somebody did email me saying that there were subs, but where normally they do call me in the morning and tell me that there's a sub, I just haven't received that.
Well, so I will tell you just, so on my son's route, we had a driver, that person's not there, then there was another driver, that person's not there, and now there's another driver. So something transitioned across 2 weeks, and it seems there was some growing pains with that. I guess my question is that something we're gonna just see with one route? Do you think we're gonna see more of this? Do we have any more information?
Well, no, I mean, I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm not happy to hear that because normally they do call me and let me know, and I was not notified that. So we'll talk later. Let me know with the
Okay.
route. But I have not seen it. Of course, if people are sick or something, they have to get subs.
Yes.
Supposedly they have subs that at least they're trying to use the same subs over and over, so at least they know our area.
Yeah.
Like I said, other than you tonight and one other email that I just got as I left the office, I have not heard anything negative.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And overall, Robin, we've seen far fewer subs this year than compared to last
Well,
year.
I'm assuming because I haven't heard, although if
Yes.
they're not telling me, I don't know that that's true. But I like I said, I haven't received emails or calls or nothing. And they do call me every day to let me know when the routes are done.
Okay.
Even today with the sub, she called me at 4:20 to tell me that all the buses were in, which is pretty normal. So it
Yes.
didn't seem like it was so behind.
Okay. 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 Any comments from the public on agenda items? No? Okay. We are going to move into resolutions then. Karen, will you move in the minutes, number 1?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Mrs. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Neruvalo?
Abstain.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. Danielle, will you move in financials, numbers 2 through 11?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes, but abstain from 8 and 9.
Mrs. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. So that, just for that, thank you to Force for their grants there, and we appreciate that. Special services, Ann, will you move in numbers 12 through 14?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call? Oh, questions? Sorry, roll call?
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Tom, will you move in personnel numbers 15 through 27?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I have some questions.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Well, I don't know so much if it's a question as, just a comment. I know he's resigning, but I gotta tell you, somebody who is energetic and dedicated to the kids and his field of music, I've totally enjoyed every time I've seen the product of Mr. Rideout's work, whether it be at the senior center or in an assembly, and just want to thank him very, very much.
Thank you.
My questions go to two topics. And perhaps we need to take this offline, but I understand the board granted the superintendent the right to fill any positions while we are not meeting. I assumed at the time it was over the summer, and I think that was part of the argument because we don't really meet. You have all the summertime off. Positions need to be filled. And I'm seeing a couple here that we only met a month ago, and the person's hired rather than recommended to be hired. Are these emergency hires? Is this going to be the new?
No, but the same rationale for over the summer when we need to hire people, we also wanted to extend that throughout the year. So on October 7th at the board meeting, we had a resolution authorizing it during the school year for the same reason. And we've had a lot of leave replacements and other hiring that needs to be done, so it's helped out a lot.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. Want to be clear on that. And there's another one, and I think George, you had once told me that it has something to do with the union contract. I'm not sure, but there are also several people who are extending their leave of absences unpaid to the end of the school year. And since we don't know who the people are or for what reason, and there are several, is this something that is standard procedure through the union contract? Is it just
Yeah, it's
courtesy?
it's consistent with past practice and the association contract.
Oh, fair enough. I appreciate your candor. All right.
Anything else, Tom?
You know what? That's it.
Okay,
No more questions.
thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay, Justin, will you move in curriculum number 28?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
I have to abstain.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Policy, Katie, will you move in numbers 29 through 32?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Now, I just want to mention again that I got comments from Tom on the role of the committee leaders. Again, if you have comments, please get them to me. Like I said, the governance committee is meeting on the 17th, so we'll finalize with all the comments, finalize that.
Karen, to your point there, at 6 o'clock tonight, I had a chance to read the new bylaw.
Nope. Well, I didn't change it at all, so it should have been the one you commented on originally.
Oh, okay, then it seemed a little bit neater, so I was confused, and I sent you back a quick
Oh, well, maybe-
email, and,
Okay, I saw that. I thought it was like the same kind of comments. Okay, I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Okay.
if you want to talk about it after, gladly.
Sure.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay, Melissa, for the last time, will you move in other items number 33 through 37?
So moved.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. A lot of fun things here. Holiday grams at Central Middle School. We have some nice collections of toys at Central happening for the Community Service Club. And for the Long Hill PBA Toys for Tots program for children at Overlook, and then dog and cat toys. So if you guys can donate, that would be great. Any items for discussion, unfinished business? Okay, any new business? Any comments from the public? Okay, Anne, will you move us into executive session?
Sure. The board will enter into a private executive session to discuss confidential student and personnel matters. Action may be taken following the executive session.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
I think we have to say,